All right, so welcome back, students. What I want to do in this video is I want to continue our conversation here in Python, and I want to talk to you a little bit about lists. Now, the list is more of a container than anything. So if we're thinking about this conceptually, the big idea here of a list is that the list is going to essentially contain variables or values. In the short sense, a list contains data. Different kinds of data, to be exact. It can contain all kinds of data. It could actually store data that is either going to be a number, it's going to be maybe a Boolean, which is either a true or false, a yes or a no type of data, or it actually can contain strings. And so those are the types of data that are going to be contained in a list. And if you're familiar with any kind of programming, a list is very similar to what is known as an array. Now, what does a list look like? Well, the list has to have a variable name. So it'll have, here's the structure for it. So it'll have a variable, and I'm going to put the underscore this time for the name, and put the operator. I'm going to assign the value here. And the way you do the assignment for this data is that you have to have square brackets. So you're going to have a pair of square brackets like this, and inside you're going to have the values. So let's kind of show you the values here when we have a value set that is composed only of numbers. So normally you would have a variable like this, but a list is going to have several of these values. You can have a whole bunch of them. For our purposes here, I'm just going to put about 3 or 4 of them. They're all going to be separated by a comma. So I'm going to put comma, space 2, comma, space 3, comma, space 4. So here is the list. Called variable name. In fact, let me go ahead and change the name here. Instead of calling it variable name, let's call it something that's very representative of the what we're doing, and let's call it my list, or my underscore list would be better. Okay, so here is the actual list. This is going to be a list of numerical values, or a list of integers. And let's go ahead and comment this out, and let's do a little bit of operations on this. So comment the second line out as well. And so here, if I want to print this out, we'll use our common function here to print things to the console. Let's go ahead and use print. Make sure you don't have any spaces or indentations. And so in this case here, we'll put that. And then I'm going to go ahead and put in my list, put the variable name. And so in this case, the list has the name of my list. I'll put it inside the parentheses, and I'm going to go ahead and run. And I'm going to get the printout of all of the variables here. Or all the values that are assigned to this list. This container, including the brackets, is what's going to be presented here at the far right on the shell. Now, you could do various things. You can actually do this list as another way. So let's go ahead and put this other one here. Let's say my second list, equal sign, and let's make this other list here. Instead of writing 1, 2, 3, 4 as a numerical, we can go ahead and write this out as a string. And so we'll put a single quotes here and type in the word 1, close it, comma, open up the second one, we'll write 2, close it, comma, open up another one, we'll put 3, we'll close that, and then we'll do the last one here, which is going to be 4. Now, in my particular browser here, the window, it kind of wraps it onto the next, so if you might need to adjust yours. Let me see if I can adjust mine a little, and see if I can get everything to be on one line. So there we go. We got everything on one line. Now here, if I come in here to the second one, I'm going to go ahead and comment out the print my list. Just for right now, I'm going to go to the second line, and I'm going to put in another print statement. And here, I'm going to say my underscore second list. And if I do that, notice I'm going to get a printout that has the new string set here of 1, 2, 3, 4 that is contained within the brackets, and notice the brackets are there too. So this is one way that we can actually do that. Now, it is important that we understand when we make this list, there is a very specific order. Whenever we do programming, whether it be in Python or in any other programming language, the numbers begin at 0. So the place that we find this number 1 numeric in my list up above in line 6, that would be in the 0 position. The number 2 would be in the first position, number 3 would be in the second position, and number 4 would be in the third position. And so it's very important that we kind of look at that. because whenever we want to call out and print out a very specific element to the console, we need to be able to reference that specific value inside the list so that we can do that. Now, how do you do that? Well, the way you can do this is you can come in here to the print command on line 9, for example. Let's go ahead and look at the code here we have on line 7, and you would want to put in a bracket, and then you're going to put in the number that corresponds to the place, the position in the list. So we want to print out the word 1, O-N-E, so we're going to put 0, and that would correspond to the O-N-E here that we see here. Okay, so let's go ahead and print that out, and we should see the word 1 printed out to the console. And so we see that that is the position there. Now we can go ahead and change this to a 1, and we'll see that the word 2 is going to be printed out. And we can repeat the same thing here for the value 2. Here the position at position 2 is going to be corresponding to the word 3. So when we press run on this one, we'll see that the word 3 is printed out. And just for making sure we can go through the whole sequence here, we'll put the variable position 3. And so we can see here that 4 is the one that's going to be printed out, and we see that there as well. If we kind of amend the print statement here, let's go ahead and comment out print statement on line 9 and uncomment the statement on line 8. We can do the same thing for numerical values or integers. Put the bracket in. Let's go ahead and print 0. If we want to print the number 1, we print position 0, and we run that, so the number 1 will be printed out to the console there. Let's say that we're after, say, the number 4. So the number 4 here would be in the 0, 1, 2, 3 position. So we would need to enter the 3, and then we would get the number 4 printed out. So that is actually a very good way to actually store information. We can store information, whether it be a string, a numerical of some sort. That could be true for floats. The ones I've depicted here have only been integers. I've depicted strings. But the other thing that you can do here is you can also depict floats. And so let's put here and I'll put underscore here, float list, and I'll put another bracket here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a couple of floats here. In fact, let's not put them in strings, let's put them in as numbers. So we say 3.1, comma, we can put 2.2, 4.4, and let's do one more, 5.5. Now we can come in here and do another print statement. So let's go ahead and comment out the one on number 9. Let's start another one. We'll go to print function on line 11, and I'm going to put in the name of the list, which is my underscore float list. And when I print that off, you're going to see that the floats in decimal form are going to be printed off as well. Now we could mix and match, and so let's go ahead and do another list here. Let's call this my mixed value list, and then we can make this equal to whatever we want. We can put, say, 1, we can put a comma, then put a 2, put another comma, say 3.3, and then we can put another comma. And for the sake here, I'm going to put double quotes and see how that works for us, and we can put the letter or the word 4. And let's go ahead and change the variable or the list name here. Instead of my float list, let's put here my underscore mixed value list, and let's go ahead and run that. And we can see that we can get the results or the values stored in the list printed off to the console as well. And it doesn't make a difference whether you have a single quote string or a double quote string, as long as you are opening and closing the string with the same type of quote, either a single quote, open and close it, or double quote, open and close as well. As long as you do that, you should have the recommended, or you should have the output that we expect from that value list. And just like we did before, if we want to print out very specific values here, remember the position, they begin at 0, so the very first value in the list will have the 0 position, and it will increase there by 1 as you move your way over to the right. Let's say that I wanted to print off the 3.3 in this mixed value list. Now the 3.3 is actually in the 1, 2, 0, 1, 2 position of the list. So when I come in here, go to line number 12, put in the bracket, and then I'm going to put the number 2 that corresponds to position number 2 in the list. And so when I press run, I should get 3.3 printed to the console. And that's what we do have here. So that there is a brief introduction to what a list is. They're actually very helpful. They're very useful, and you should consider them in your code when you're trying to save values. So as we continue to learn Python, we hope that you can join us as we continue that exploration. See you in the next video.